Anna Sarah asked if I could just do like a little brief how we started working on this curriculum, how that kind of began, and say a few words of introduction for Father Stephen. So I'm not sure I have to introduce much because I think the whole internet knows Father Stephen at this point, but I'll say a little bit about the build-up at least. So we began in 2020, actually 2021, with a youth and adult task force for youth ministry and adult ministry. We had this idea that maybe we should stop working kind of siloed. And what happened was we had kind of four people that were kind of long-standing people in those ministries that had done wonderful work over a period of time. We had, Carol, obviously, for Christian Ed. Father Anthony Yaji was over camping and over young adults. And then we had Father Joseph Perper was over the teens. And they all kind of ended up stepping down at the same time and said, why don't we do a strategic planning effort to kind of see how we could all work together instead of kind of having separate departments, just kind of one overarching department with some distinct ministries within. And our first retreat we had in Memphis, Tennessee, back in 2021. We're looking at like where are some points of connection and where are some things, so we just spitballing ideas. And one of the things that we talked about was with Bible Bowl and Oratorical Festival, these are key things in our archdiocese, where we pick a book, we pick a theme, we do these things, and have the kids be a part of this. And one of the things that we saw, and I think you as educators know this phrase cram and dump, where you cram all this stuff, you learn all these things like how many loaves, how many fish, what city, who said what, fill in the blank, and you learn all these things, and the minute it's done, you forget it. And we said, what if there's theological narrative? What if there's structure? What if there's things we teach the kids about these books during the year? And I mentioned in the homily this morning that honestly, when we're priests and doing askabunas, things like that at camp, it's hard if you can't reference the basic scriptural stories when you give an answer. Like, oh, Father, why can't I do X, Y, and Z? Well, Genesis, when the Lord says this, and they look at you blank. So we said, why don't we spend some time with all the kids on one thing, and then maybe they can drive home with mom and dad, and the 16-year-old and the 13-year-old and the 5-year-old can all talk about Sunday school because there's like some kind of connection that they all have. And then when the younger ones, if we rotated, the younger ones when they're older, they get a young version of it, and then they get the older version later. And so when it came time to say, okay, how are we going to do this? We said, okay, the next book in rotation is Matthew, and I had this, I've been listening, and I've been a huge fan of Father Stephen's podcast, and I said, I think I know the guy to ask to help us with this. And so he said, let's just get 10, an overarching theme, kind of 10 kind of lesson points, and we'll have him kind of pick what those 10 most important things are that the kids need to learn. And then we'll turn it over to experienced educators like Sandy back there. Let's fill out the curriculum. So it's been a great blessing working with Father Stephen. He's done Matthew, Genesis, Romans, and Father Stephen, of course, is a priest in Lafayette, Louisiana. He holds doctorates in multiple degrees in many things. I do think he's a genius. And sorry, I said I think he is. And he's become more well known through the Lord of Spirits podcast, New Faith Radio, and then Whole Counsel of God podcast, where it's a Bible study he does for his church, verse by verse through the Bible. If you're not listening to this, it's amazing. The Genesis one he's doing right now, it just blows me away. And so it's just a huge thing to have him kind of set these structures for us, and then let our teachers that know how to teach these kinds of things to the little ones, to the older ones, let them take that and run with it. And it's been like a great project. We're very excited. I'm super excited to have Father Stephen introduce Luke Acts, our next installment in this curriculum. So Father, it's all you.
Thank you. I think I'll put this back in. People still hear me? Is it working? Okay. I don't think I'm a genius. I think I'm clever. But you have to remember that the serpent was the most clever creature in the garden. So cleverness maybe isn't all it's cracked up to be sometimes. As Father Nicholas said, I'm sort of a consultant on this curriculum, so don't give me most of the credit. Most of the credit goes to the people who are actually writing the lesson plans and doing the curriculum. I come and I give a presentation a lot like the one I'm about to give to the people who write the curriculum, and then I'm around to answer questions for them and